In this episode of Golden's Gone Wheelin', we finally make our way to the lowest point in the contiguous United States, and we make the 30-plus mile journey to view this incredible valley from above. We struggle to find camping at a place called Hole in the Wall, and we continue to find unexpected but really cool landmarks in the middle of the Death Valley Desert. We make the climb up Surprise Canyon to explore the area below the historic Panamint City, now cut off from the rest of the world due to flash floods. We learn a few things about Chris Wicht Camp before making our way to Ballarat, where Chris Wicht was the bartender in 1874, and they filmed the scene from the 1969 movie Easy Rider. So come along and enjoy this leg of the journey as we continue to explore Death Valley. In the last episode, we had to make an adjustment to our route due to a bonehead move on my part in discovering the mountain pass we wanted to take was one way in the opposite direction. So we hightailed it deeper into Death Valley to visit a place on our list that just made sense on this journey.
We were at a really high point with Mount Whitney, which is the tallest place in North America, or at least the States, at I think it's 14,505 or something like that. And now we're down to 280 feet below sea level. So we've gone from the highest point to the lowest point in one overlanding trip, and this is actually called Badwater Basin in Death Valley. Imagine trying to trudge through this stuff. This is some pretty nasty, jagged salt deposits that clearly if you fell on them, that'd be the start of probably a pretty bad day. It's 96 degrees today. Lady at the store we stopped at Furnace Creek to pick up some more water said it'll get at least 30 degrees hotter in the summertime.
Leaving Badwater Basin, we pass Artist's Palette, where oxidation of different minerals found in the rock formation creates amazing colors on the west side of the Black Mountains. As the crow flies, our next destination is less than 2 miles away, but the 30-plus mile loop takes us from the desert floor up through oasis-like canyons and across vibrant desert blooms. The rewarding view at the top is worth it.
We just climbed from Badwater Basin way down there in those salt flats at around 280 feet below sea level, and now we're at over 5,000 feet above sea level at a place called Dante's View. It's pretty crazy. You can actually see what I think is called Lake Manly. 96 degrees when we were down there. And up here, it's a balmy about 75. In typical fashion, we're venturing off the beaten path, away from all the other people, to a slightly higher elevation with the hounds. I want you going over the cliff. Right here, kids. Oh yeah. Holy shnikes, this is epic. There it is, folks. Dante's View. Both ends of the valley. Yeah, baby. And down there's where all the other people went. Good puppies. Good boy, Cooper. Good boy. You know, I will say, you can really smell the wildflowers right now because this breeze that's up here is coming right up the face of this mountain cliff. And God, it smells wonderful.
Earlier in the day, we noticed that there was a canyon called Hole in the Wall with a few campsites. It seemed promising, and it wasn't far from Dante's View.
We're searching for this campsite at a place called Hole in the Wall. And so we drove back up this canyon about 4 miles, which was fun. It was pretty cool. And there are campsites just all along the way. The only problem is they're not that far off this dirt road kind of thing that dead ends right here 4 miles in, and I don't think there'd be a lot of traffic to drive down a 4-mile road. So there's a really cool spot right in the little slot canyon. I don't know if that's going to create a windy situation or not. I'm going to stop there and look at it and see what the wind is like. This is that cool slot canyon I was telling you about where there's a campsite right up here, but you guys got to check out these cliff walls. They're insane. Yeah, so I can already tell you It's a bit of a wind tunnel right here. It's too bad actually, because man, this would make a pretty cool little campsite. It's a little close to the road, but again, there's nothing past us up there in terms of campsite. My fear though is that not everybody knows that, and who knows how many people are gonna go cruising past here, kicking up dust all over our campsite. This is crazy though. All right, moment of truth. Let's find out what she's gonna say. What do you think, honey?
It's too windy.
It's too windy, huh?
Yeah.
All right. You want to head down to Furnace Creek? Okay. There you have it, kids. We are heading to Furnace Creek, try and get a campsite, and that's what we'll be for the night.
In hindsight, this would have been our best choice for a campsite that night.
Good morning. Let me get you guys caught up from where we left off last night. So you may remember we were scouring, looking for a campsite, and it was getting late. We didn't really like the wind howling through that canyon. So we took off and we went to Furnace Creek. Don't go to Furnace Creek to camp. I'm spoiled. I like dispersed camping. I'm not a fan of campsites, but this was the worst of the worst to me. Buzzed across Death Valley pretty far, all the way to Panamint last night. And we ended up staying in Panamint. Had a nice burger and fries and a beer. Threw up the tent at the last minute. It was already probably 9 something at night. Slept, woke up this morning, packed that tent up quickly, went back across the road and had breakfast, so we didn't have to cook anything. Totally cheating, right? And then we got back on the road this morning, and here we are. We're gonna get across this giant flat here to the canyons across the way. And I know it's gonna turn to 4-wheel drive trails over there, so we'll go ahead and air down pretty good. So as we drive out through here, we notice that there's kind of firings just all along in different places where people have just gathered some rocks. And we look at the map, and sure enough, we're not in the national park anymore. We're still in Death Valley, but not in Death Valley National Park. We're in BLM, so you could literally disperse camp anywhere here. And if I'm being completely honest, these accommodations be way better than the campsite that we stayed at last night. It's really smooth, it's really nice. It'd make for a beautiful dark sky campsite right in here. Cruising along and found this guy. I'm not 100% sure where we are. Find some of the coolest stuff out here in the desert.
Oh, look, it says inside. Roswell, New Mexico.
What's this say? Roswell, New Mexico. That's pretty cool. What's this? Just a real reindeer? Oh, that's awesome. I see picnic tables off in the wash way down there too, probably with fire rings. By reservation only. Private property. So you got Trona 28 miles, Ballarat, Surprise Canyon, Panamint Spring. That's our cue. This is where we turn to Surprise Canyon.
Surprise Canyon Road was built back in 1874 so miners could get up to the canyon all the way to Panamint City at 6,302 feet. Panamint City was actually a busy mining town with 2,000 people by 1874. Its main street was 1 mile long and the town had its own newspaper. But now it's completely cut off to the outside world due to recurring flooding in the canyon. The road was washed out by floods a lot, but in 1984, a flood stripped the canyon all the way down to the bedrock, and I don't think anyone wanted to rebuild it because it was so bad. Off-roaders used to be able to get up to the canyon to Panamint City using winches and anchors that the old miners left behind from the 1930s. But in 2001, environmental groups started trying to prevent off-roaders from accessing the canyon altogether. Death Valley National Park doesn't have the resources to care for Panamint City Ghost Town, so I hear it's just decaying. It would be really cool to make the 7.5 mile hike up there to check it out.
Wow, drive up this canyon is so freaking fun. You can see how deep this groove is right here. And remember, in 2023, things flooded crazy here. So I think we're driving up an improvised road, because when I look down into the canyon here, there's actually some blockage and a gate right there, like a fence and a gate. And that may have been the road down there, and it's just gone. There's a bit of a hike you can do up here too for a secret or Surprise Canyon Wilderness area. But there's some cool buildings up here I wanted to check out real quick before we head up there. I'm a total novice, so I don't know what some of this stuff is, but somebody clearly didn't like it because they shot it with a gun. What the heck? This is an improvised, this is crazy, guys. You know what that is, right? That's an axle. A bunch of leaf springs pieces sitting here. They've got that thing bolted up. It almost looks like they were turning a big grater in here. You can see kind of a thing that spins around down there, and they've got something connected to the yoke up here that they were probably driving it with on this end. That's impressive. And then up here we got, whoa, this is like a little concrete chute they had for something. Not sure what they ran through the chute there, but got a bin up here. People threw their trash in there, of course. Duh. Man, I better put a hat on here today or I'm gonna get sunburnt. You got some machine works going on up in here. Holy cow. There's literally a big rubber, probably hose for water coming out of the ground right here to create maybe a slurry in this thing. Man, they weren't messing around back then. They were building some concrete stuff here, pillars. Cool little waterfalls down there in the washout area. Yeah, you can see where the road was, all nice and graded and perfect. And the floods came through here and just destroyed it. Found a registry book to sign. Pretty cool. How many people have been here lately?
No one since the 29th.
No one since the 29th. That's awesome.
Probably weekend. I bet it's just weekend.
Yeah, maybe. That's pretty cool. Yeah, holy cow, this is crazy. Lots of waterfalls back in here. Does that feel good? Oh, there she is. Is that hilarious? Every time we get to a water crossing, she wants to lay in it. Pretty funny. That's my little girl. Man, it's crazy that the flood came through here and just completely wiped it out. Who are the dudes that came way back in here back in the day, put this stuff up here? Whoa, I'm guessing the water coming down when the flood happened bent that sucker all out of shape. Boy, pretty cool. Poopers in the river.
Yeah, I can't blame him. It's so hot out. I
Yeah.
wanted to do the same thing.
If you have a way to get down here, it's probably easier getting down this way. Good boy, Coopers. I feel good. Good boy.
Dogs had a good swim. The Jeep will be nice and steamy. So hot by the time we get back to the Jeep, they'll probably be dry.
With more places on the list to explore, the 7.5-mile hike up to Panamint City just wasn't in the cards today. So it was time to head back down the canyon and on to our next ghost town.
This will give you guys some scope of the scale of the flood that went through this little canyon. The road is now way up there, and you can see the gouge that flood made here. And some of the debris that got washed down is actually some of the mining equipment. That is heavy iron right there. I could only assume that was tumbling down the river and then just got buried right here. Oh, that's, dang, even that's pretty heavy. Man, that must have been something to see if you could have been up here when the floods were barreling through. Cool, just stumbled across this Ballarat little old ghost town thing that someone's working on. It's pretty cool. Look at those old wagon wheels. It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Probably horse skull.
Well, this one looks
Its
like
teeth.
something smaller. Not sure what that is. Maybe a
Its
cat or
head stuck in
something.
the water or something.
Yeah, exactly. Ballarat. There you go. Ballarat.
So this was the filming location for the opening scene of the 1969 movie Easy Rider with Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper. Born to be Wild is playing in my head right now.
Okay, clearly it's always 4:20 here, but what the heck? The clock is backwards. We're in the Twilight Zone.
Gangrene Gene.
Gangrene Gene. Wanted. Lightfoot Louie.
So you might remember the small little Chris Wicht Camp we explored earlier in the day. Well, he was the bartender here in Ballarat back when Panamint City was still prospering. This story about him getting shot in the seat of his pants, well, I found it pretty funny.
So I don't know who remembers cactus coolers, but these were pretty freaking awesome back when I was a kid. And I haven't seen one in a really long time. I guess they still make them. I don't know. But it sure tastes good. All right there, Miss Ballarat. Oh, it needs to be tuned. So that's pretty cool. Ballarat ghost town. It's kind of neat. It doesn't look like much when you pull up, but people that own the store are super freaking cool. Pop in, buy a little something to support the local environment and the local businesses and things like that. Got to keep these things alive. It was started because of a gold mine just down the way here. Radcliffe Mine. And yeah, lady and her husband are keeping it going. It's pretty cool.